Why am I a loser?
Of course you're a loser. So listen to this and it'll change your life. Everybody's life. Stop torturing yourself for nothing. If I don't know why I'm here, all I know is I'm hungry and dying, your chances of surviving are not good. All you know is what she looks like. You're marrying her, and her looks are not a problem.
Or how do I know if she's not one day not going to need me anymore?
We're better at divorcing than marrying.
Yeah.
If you're so important, why do you need validation?
Emotional constipation, when somebody does not express their gift.
Stop threatening me. I hate it.
Are my questions too challenging? Why are feelings so scary? I have anxiety about having anxiety.
This can make you totally crazy. That's exactly what anxiety is.
Thought I will have a happy marriage and a nice family and kids.
That's disillusioned.
What type of person do you think one has to become before they find their relationship?
Be a little more funny.
Right.
Be a little more serious.
You know, for me, when I date, I'm like 90-10. I don't speak anything. I just listen.
What do you care if she likes you? She's a stranger. A woman wants to rely on her husband. Who goes to Gehenna?
Those who make it a living hell. Welcome to another episode of Podsitivity. Thank you all for watching. I have the Honorable Rabbi Manis Freidman, and I've been a follower and a listener for many, many years. I actually brought my own book. Doesn't anyone blush anymore? Because this is a deep one. I think you did this many years ago also. But it's just really, really inspiring. And I'll start with a chapter that caught me, which was the one about guilt and shame and embarrassment. You divide it in three, and I love that book. I didn't just read it for the podcast. I read this already months ago when I was going through a rough time in my life. And I felt like guilt is something that we all somehow have. And I felt like guilt was something that kind of comes into our life and it shouldn't really be there. It's like one of the things that you have guilt just to know that you shouldn't have it. It's like one of these kind of concepts, because guilt is just terrible. And especially in a way where I grew up, and parts of it in my family, but parts in also like Rebbe and stuff like that. I felt like they are the only ones that install guilt in us by telling, report cards or giving us tests or telling us that's not good enough, you have to fit in, or,
1,000 reasons.
I was told, let's say, that you don't want to be a chubby bar mitzvah bucher. And then I was told no girl wants a fat boy. That's like so much guilt. Or like your parents will ask you, bring up the chairs, and then you didn't bring it up. They'll be like, it's okay, we'll bring it up. That's what gives guilt to people. But you defined it very well in a sense of, wow, where's the healthy guilt and shame come from, and how does it help us, and what does it teach us? My question is, how do we get rid of the bad guilt that we all have in our lives?
The bad guilt, the unnecessary guilt.
Yeah.
So in most cases, it's really not guilt, it's shame.
Yeah.
That's not the same thing.
Yeah.
You're embarrassing me is not the same as you making me feel guilty.
Right.
So everything healthy is useful. Things that are not useful are not healthy. So what is a useful guilt? Fine.
Yeah.
Ben schuldig. I messed up. All right. Now, what do you want from me? How is this useful? Well, at least you should feel bad. And then what?
Right.
Just feel bad. Now, a conscience is a very necessary part of human life. If you have no conscience, you're a dangerous monster.
Right.
Guilty conscience. What is that?
Okay.
Conscience means I know right from wrong. Guilty means I did something wrong and I am damaged. I'm reduced. I'm not as great as I used to be.
Wow.
I'm not as innocent as I used to be. I'm not as lovable as I used to be. I'm not as respectable as I used to be. I'm damaged property. So now you're going to have to sell me for cheap, because who's going to pay full price for me now?
Right.
So there's a difference between feeling responsible, which is a very healthy, good feeling, although it's heavy, but good. If it's my fault and I am responsible, then I have to fix it. That's great. Also, I won't do it again. But very often we feel guilty when it's not our fault. And that's
Such
the
as,
mystery that I was trying to figure out. Like,
ah,
a child is molested,
right.
God forbid, and says, I feel guilty. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. 100 times, but it's not your fault. Doesn't
Wow.
help. Why doesn't it help?
Because they don't allow themselves to feel it.
Because the child never thinks it's his fault. That's not what guilt means. It doesn't matter whose fault it is, who's damaged.
Wow. Ah, so you're saying that guilt leads back to the damage that you created out of it. And when you heal from that damage and you notice that you're not damaged, you get rid of the guilt. Can we say that? Is that
Yes, yes. And what does it mean, damaged?
that I'm not worthy or I'm
To
just
others.
right? Oh, the same way that I used to be.
Right.
My image has changed.
Yeah. A woman who is molested, her husband will never love her again. At least that she
Right.
thinks, right?
Yep.
So you say, but it's not your fault.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whose fault it is. The man gets away with it and the woman doesn't, right?
Wow.
It's unfair.
Wow.
So what happens if you're feeling guilty, damaged? Nobody's going to love me the way they would have or used to.
Right.
Don't say nobody. Who are you talking about?
Right.
Your husband. Ask him.
Wow.
Why
So
are you
challenge.
assuming?
Yeah, challenge that belief and that shame that you
Yeah.
have. I never thought of that. I should do that with my insecurities and just challenge people to ask them, would you love me if I don't have a podcast, or would you still talk to me if I don't have followers?
It's like,
Wow.
nobody loves me.
Yeah.
Nobody?
Yeah, challenge that belief.
No, nail it down to specifics.
Right.
When you say nobody loves me, who are you talking about? Your
Right.
father?
Self-love. I think that comes down to everything, the way we see ourselves. And a person that doesn't think that he's perfect is probably in a sense questioning Hashem, because Hashem is put us into every situation that we go through or that we had or every experience. So I think that self-love is something that most people don't even grasp. And my next question is going to be about happiness, but I want to talk first about self-love, meaning that I don't feel people understand what self-love is. And I'll say why I don't think they don't understand it, because the foods they eat, the things they watch, the things that they do on a day-to-day basis does not speak of any kind of self-love, which means that they don't know or believe that they deserve that self-love. So how important is self-love and why?
I'm going to go in a completely different direction.
Okay.
A person who doesn't eat healthy is not because he doesn't love himself. It's because he loves himself too much.
Wow.
I won't even give up my favorite food for my own health.
Right. Yeah.
This is going to kill you. I don't care. I want what I
Right.
want.
Well, the food
I
feels
like
like love. It does.
That's exactly right.
I used to be that way a lot. Food was my comfort. And by the way, if I'm allowed to interrupt, we do that to kids. They cry, we give them food. A baby cries, a kid cries, we give them a lolly.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Not really. There's a difference between love and pleasure. We don't love food. We got to stop using those expressions.
Right.
I
Foodie.
love pizza. No, you don't love pizza. You get pleasure from pizza.
Right. And that's what Hashem wants. That's why he made the foods different in each food. And
That's what it's meant to be. It's meant
Right.
to be a pleasure. It's not meant to be love.
yeah.
Don't call it that. You're just confusing yourself.
People think that marriage is happiness, but they don't know really what happiness is. So So they're linking something to something, and they don't even know what happiness is. Does that make sense?
Yes, we use words and we don't even know what we're saying.
Wow.
And then we suffer for it. So here's another Torah approach,
Yeah.
especially for men. I am unhappy because I think I am a loser. I'm not smart like other people. I'm not capable like other people. I'm not popular like other people. I'm a loser.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel terrible. So I got to do something to feel like a winner.
Right.
Yeah. What does the Torah say about that? This is really interesting. The Torah says, you think you're a loser? Of course you're a loser. Who's not a loser? Who's not a loser? Somebody happens to be smarter than you. That means he's not a loser? He's a bigger loser because he should be better because he's smarter, right? We're all losers because we're human beings. We say every morning in the davening, Mo'onu, Machayenu, Machasdenu, Matzikenu, Magvurasenu,
That sounds like a loser.
Hevel ha'adam and ha'behema ayin.
Right.
You're no better than an animal. So what are you suffering from?
Right.
You're not supposed to be a loser?
Wow.
You did something to become a loser? Yeah, you were born.
Right.
So this is what the Torah says. The sooner you get comfortable with the fact that you're a loser, the happier you're going to be.
Wow.
Stop fighting it because you can't not be a loser. You're a tiny little human being. You have many faults. You have many weaknesses. And that's not going to change.
Hey, where's the butt?
There's got to be, right? There's got to be a catch here. What is the but? Ani I didn't create myself. Got to stick to English?
Yeah.
I didn't create myself. Which means all my faults and all my failings and all my weaknesses is given to me. So if I'm stupid, I didn't make myself stupid. If I'm ugly, I didn't make myself ugly. So there's a story in Gemara that one of the sages was riding down the road and he saw a man on the side of the road who was very ugly. And he stops and he says to the man, Kama mechur odom, how ugly can you get? It's just strange, right? Strange thing to say. The man said, don't blame me, blame my designer. Lech le'uman she'asani. I didn't make myself. So what are you saying? You're blaming me for being ugly?
Wow.
Complain to my maker. And as a result, he wasn't as ugly anymore.
Right.
Because part of his ugliness was his arrogance. He believed that he is self-made, independent. So the sage thought, how can I help him with this? He said to him, you're such a self-made man. Why'd you make yourself ugly? He said, oh, I didn't do that. And for the first time in his life, he realized,
Wow.
I didn't create myself. So whatever I am at birth is not my choice.
Right.
So why am I such a tiny little creature?
Right. Why am I a loser?
Why do I have to eat every couple of hours? Why do I have to sleep all the time? Why do I need everybody's approval? Why am I so fragile? Why am I so...
Sensitive, emotional.
I didn't do that.
Wow.
So, where's the but?
I think the but comes to acceptance. That's what I'm seeing over here.
More than acceptance.
Okay.
Whoever created me ugly, needs me to be this way. Otherwise, why did he do it? So here's the bottom line. I am not needy. These are not my needs. I need to eat. Before I even could think, when I was a fetus, I needed to eat.
Right.
Don't blame it on me. So the need to eat is not my need. It's my handicap. No matter what I'm doing, I have to stop because
Right.
I have to go eat. And that's why children are annoyed when they have to go eat. They don't
Right.
want to
Wow.
because they're having so much fun.
Yeah.
Why do I have to stop and eat? I don't want to. Why do I have to go to sleep?
Right.
Because you'll be tired. I don't want to be tired. Well, too bad. So it's not my need. So listen to this and it'll change your life, everybody's life. This boy went from New York to France to yeshiva. He was a teenager, back in the 60s maybe. He comes to the yeshiva and he goes into the office and he says to the mashpia, to the Rosh Yeshiva, he says, "Chtaf von de Mamen, which phone can I use?" The mashpia said to him, he was a very deep chassid, he said to him, "Ich darf,
Right.
I need to call my..." You don't understand? He said, "Yes, I need to call my mother." And the mashpia said again, "I need," what does that mean? So he said, the boy said, "Okay, my mother needs me to call her. Which phone can I use?"
Right.
So the mashpia said, "Good, stop lying."
Wow.
When he said, "I need to call my mother," it's not true. It's a lie.
Right.
He should call his mother because his mother is sitting by the phone and waiting to hear that he arrived. So whose need is it? It's your mother's need, and you steal it, and you
Right.
call it your need? Why do you have to lie?
Wow.
Why can't you tell the truth?
I feel like you are very validating to people, and that's probably why you have millions of followers and probably hundreds of millions of plays and listens. Where does that validation come from? Why are you so validating to other people? Is that like your thing, or is that your Toyota perspective that you feel it should be very validated and easygoing for people?
I think this is the essence of Teres Haboshem.
It sounds like love. It sounds like acceptance. It sounds like,
Much more.
okay, what's more than love, acceptance, and surrender?
Good.
Okay.
So here's the punch.
Joy?
Here's the punchline. I'm not needy. That's already happy.
Wow.
Not I need. Lech le'uman she'asani. I didn't do this. I didn't choose this. I didn't ask for this. So yeah, I'm a human being with all the faults of a human being. You have a taina to me?
Right. But sometimes I don't want to accept myself for what I am, who I am.
Exactly.
It sounds very easy. Yeah, I'm needed, and I don't have to be perfect. Okay.
Right.
I'm going to walk out different from this conversation, but I'm still sometimes uncomfortable.
Right. Which is what makes you uncomfortable. Right? You don't want to accept it.
Yeah.
You want to be better. What is the result? You're miserable.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the other side. As much as I am not needy, I am needed. The reason I exist is not because I need to. Is because I am needed. That's why I didn't create myself.
Right.
So whoever created me because he needs me.
So I have to remember every time I have pain that I'm not needy, I'm needed, and that should take care of everything.
Wow, will that change your life?
Okay, I'm gonna try it. Okay,
Because it does two things. Psychologically, it's a huge relief. Stop torturing yourself for nothing.
right,
I should be smarter. How do you know? Who says?
right,
On the other hand, you can't be more important. Your existence can't be more valid
right,
than the fact that you are needed.
right. And is anxiety a direct outcome from feeling this neediness? Because a lot of people today struggle with anxiety, including myself, or sometimes what I've been through. And it just, I notice that it comes from a sense of control, or I'm just not happy with my results or expectations that went wrong.
Yeah. So let me give an example. Which kid has a healthy opinion of himself? The kid who thinks he's the strongest, the fastest, and the smartest? Or the kid who goes into a candy store and looks at the ingredients or on the label of the candy, and if he doesn't see a kosher,
Yeah,
he puts it back. I remember hearing from a storekeeper. He says he couldn't believe it. The first time frum kids came into, and they looked at a candy and they put it back. What child does that?
right. Wow,
What kind of self-control? What kind of maturity? What kind of discipline?
right. Okay,
Nobody's watching him. It's a candy. How does a kid put away a candy? And
right.
if he doesn't find a kosher candy, he'll walk out without a candy. He was in awe of this kid. Kids. What makes us strong is not what we think of ourselves. Because no matter what you think of yourself, you're the smartest one in class. Yeah, but next year you're going to an older class and you're not so smart anymore.
Right.
There's no way. There's no way. Ego doesn't make you secure. You see, it almost makes no sense. Ego is what makes you insecure. Okay, so build up your ego and then you'll be secure?
Right.
No, you'll be more insecure.
The same mind that created the problem can't really solve the problem.
Exactly. The most powerful men in history were the most paranoid, crazy.
Wow.
Stalin. You looked at him wrong.
Yeah, Einstein was considered a crazy person.
Well, he was emotionally not so brilliant.
No?
No.
Oh, okay, I didn't know.
But
he has this quote that I love. He says, "Coincidence is God's way of staying anonymous." I think that's...
smart he was.
Yeah, okay. I just love that because we live in that world where, yeah, anyway, go on.
But that's a very good point.
Yeah.
A coincidence means God is running the show, but he doesn't want you to be so conscious of
Right.
him.
I like that part, conscious, because many times I feel like I have brain fog, and I feel like it's something that he's sending, something direct. Maybe he doesn't want me to feel right now, or doesn't want me to understand and see the clear picture yet.
He does want you to, but on your own. He's not going to impose it on you.
Wow.
He's not going to shove it down your throat. You want to believe in me, then decide to believe in me. Not I'm going to overwhelm you and leave you no choice but to
Right. So I kind of feel like that's what he wants to challenge us. He wants us to not know and not understand.
No, he wants us to know it by ourselves.
Which
Like any
means that
good
sometimes
teacher.
I don't understand.
So take time. He's patient. But here's the really important thing. What causes anxiety is not that I might lose money, or I might fail a test, or the shidduch is not,
Yeah.
nobody's going to want to marry me. Anxiety comes from not knowing where I'm going and why I'm here. And that's why very successful people are anxious.
Because they take more risks.
Because they still don't know where they're going or why they're here.
Does a simple goal plan help with that?
No,
Why?
it's just a distraction. Keeps you busy, but it's not an answer to the question.
Okay. What's the answer?
So poor people wonder, why am I here? What do I need this for? Right? Rich people, how long can you sit on the deck of a yacht
Yeah.
and drink cocktails?
Right.
What am I doing here? It's the same question. It hasn't changed at all. And if the rich man doesn't ask it, his children, who are accustomed to being rich, they will ask it. So what?
Right.
So what? So we have a big house. So what?
Right. So what's the tachlis?
But why am I here? The answer is your creator created you because he needs you, not you need him.
And how do I know what he needs from me?
But this change, this shift in
Yeah.
thinking,
I love that. Yeah. Helps with anxiety also to
It's
understand that
is the
you're
only
needed.
thing that makes sense.
Right.
How does it make sense? I'm born, I have problems. I spend my life trying to solve those problems.
Right.
If I don't solve those problems, I'm a total loser. If I do solve those problems, so I'm back to where I started.
Right.
What's the point?
It's an everlasting trap.
There's no point.
Wow. I wish I can tell this to all the people listening. Like, yeah, you don't have to do anything. You're just perfect. You're needed. This is the biggest validation ever.
It is. And the more I realize how damaged I am and what a loser I am,
Right.
and you still need me, I'm a loser.
Right.
How could you need me? But you do? Well, then that's amazing. Then I am so validated.
Right. Well,
But not through ego.
so I've personally asked Hashem many times in this context. I asked, like, I want to feel needed. So I believe that you need me, but how about and I believe you love me, but how about I want to feel loved by a different human being, a different person. I want to feel needed by a different person. And right now I don't have a relationship. I'm a bucher, or other people that want relationships. So it's kind of like, yes, Hashem is everything, but like I want to feel it in this world, needed by another person. And many people are not in relationships now.
Yeah, but many people need you. They just won't tell you. See, the great thing about God is that not only does he need you, he tells you.
How?
Every word in Torah. I need you to do this. I need you to do that.
Wow. Yeah, I guess my life is perfect. Should we finish now? Wow, it's really amazing. I also love the concept that you shared about money, which is that technically speaking, we could have all been, which also goes a little bit into needy, which is technically we could have all been animals and we could have gotten our foods from just the trees and plants, but Hashem made us also that we need to cook food, and so that we need to engage with one another. And I think that today we do have a loneliness problem, and because of social media or just the low self-esteem that people have. So I'm curious, how important is it that we all have friends in our lives, and what void does that fill?
I think more than ever in history, it is clear to most human beings that our only problem, I don't know why I'm here. If I knew why I was here, I could survive every tragedy. I could survive every trauma, like a
Wow.
concentration camp.
Right.
If I know what I'm supposed to do, I can survive. If I don't know why I'm here, all I know is I'm hungry and dying, your chances of surviving are not good.
Wow.
So the Mishnah says, Chaviv Adam Shenivra B'Tselem. We are very special because we're created to reflect Hashem. Chiba Yeseda, an even greater kindness or is Neida Lahem. The Eibishter makes it known that we are precious to him. Our parents sometimes don't.
Right.
So they do need us desperately, but they can't admit it. Or they show it in strange ways. Our friends need us, but they're too proud to say it.
Wow, I feel that way. I try to go out of my way to message and call friends, and they're like, yeah, what do you need? I had this recently with a friend. I visited him for like 15 minutes, and after I visit him, he's like, okay, let's cut to the chase. Why are you here? And I'm like, honestly, I just came to check on you and say hi. He got
Can't
up,
believe
he
it.
gave me a hug. He really couldn't believe it. And I do that because I wish somebody would do that to me sometimes.
But in the end, did he need you?
Of course, yeah. Wow.
So if we stopped thinking of our needs
Yeah,
and started thinking of our being needed,
yeah,
we would
yeah.
be perfect.
Okay, so speaking of other people, if I were to go on a date after the show, which I am, maybe I'll cut it out or not, but I am going on a date, and I'm a little bit torn apart. From one side, I feel like I'm looking for the external, clearly. You know, there should be beauty and validation, and I should feel needed and loved and wowed and excited and comfortable and secure. And from the other hand, I know that there is more, and I know that it's a giving, you know, as the Rebbe speaks, as Reb Manis speaks many times. So like you're giving in the relationship, and that's what it is, and how holy and sacred it is, and how you don't ask questions, and how you don't invade her space. That's where it gets challenging and tough. That's probably the anxiety in me, even going to meet this girl. So how do we balance together those expectations and what marriage really is?
So there's nothing wrong with starting off on the outside,
Okay.
right? I mean, what
Yeah.
else? You don't know anything else about her. All you know is what she looks like.
Right.
So you check that off the list.
Right.
Good?
Yeah, I heard the Rebbe actually speaks about attraction, that it's very important.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if you don't like the way she looks,
Right.
it gets in the way.
Clearly, yeah.
So she doesn't have to be the most gorgeous.
Yeah.
Her looks have to be pleasing to you.
Okay.
Then it's not a problem. But you're not marrying her for her looks. You're marrying her, and her looks are not a problem. It's a very different attitude. But what you really need to know before you decide to marry a woman is, does she need you?
Yeah, that's what I always feel. That's
Will
always
you
the
feel
biggest question.
needed, not needy?
Right. And how do I know if I feel needed by her? Or how do I know if she's not one day not going to need me anymore? I think that's even more discouraging. Like, I'm married for 5 years, and one day she's like, sorry, I don't need you anymore. I don't like you. I don't love you.
Well, yeah, that can happen.
Right.
Yeah.
It could. It really could.
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do or say to prevent that, I
Yeah.
believe. I can be the best husband ever.
Yeah. In the Gemara, Masechtas Gittin comes before Kedushin.
Right. Right.
So
yeah. There's a way out before there's a way in.
Right. But if you do it right, it doesn't happen. Divorce is not necessary.
Well, we're at 50%. Probably in our communities around, I don't know, 20, 30%.
Yeah, because we're good. We're better at divorcing than at
I
marrying.
yeah. No, it's pretty crazy. It's risky. Going into a marriage knowing that you have like a 50% chance of it not working out. No wonder people don't want to get married.
And it's just going to get worse.
Right. So what do we do over here?
Because we're becoming more and more needy. You can't be married to a needy person. They're too busy.
Right.
They're married to their needs.
But I feel like I want to get. I feel like I'm an important human being, and I want to get. I want to get validation. I want to get love.
Well, if you're
And I
so
want to probably get the feeling of being needed. That's the most thing that I want to.
if you're so important, why do you need validation?
I don't know. Then
It's
again,
a contradiction.
my life is. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Is my podcast only to get compliments and not to give information to people? That's what I tell myself.
Right. So if it's only to get compliments, then you're miserable. You're not a happy person. You're a beggar.
I would say it's like 60-40.
Which way?
I love getting compliments. I
That's
love.
the 60?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And 40 I want to give to people. People always ask me that. I say the two reasons why I have a podcast is number one, because I love to express myself. It's important. It has to come out of me. I have to do creative stuff. The second reason is I want to inspire people.
So switch
I
it.
want. Okay. All right.
Switch inspiring people to the 60%.
Okay. Oh, that's all? The 60-40 ratio is okay?
Yeah.
All right. I really am perfect.
No, you're not.
I mean, I really am not perfect, and I don't have to be.
That's right.
Wow.
So here's the chiddush of Matan Torah.
Okay.
Hashem comes to us at Har Sinai and says, "You are miserable, difficult, petty little creatures, but what you can do for me."
Wow.
That's the greatness of Hashem.
Yeah.
He can find such meaning in meaningless little people.
Right. But it's fair to say that most people do not have a relationship with Hashem. They work on a relationship with themselves, maybe a relationship with the spouse and kids.
That's why we're miserable.
Now, how does one work with the relationship with Hashem when we know Hashem is the best listener, but He doesn't talk to us? He only shows us stuff and things and messages. You can see Him all over, but a relationship is,
Yeah.
I feel like it's difficult.
So let me say the most controversial thing I can say. Okay?
Okay.
The Zayde says to you when you're a child, wake up, it's late. You say, late for what? Late for the minyan. You have to catch the minyan. You say, I don't have to, leave me alone. No, you have to. You say, I don't have to, warm it up. Who's right? It's like saying to the boy in France, you have to call your mother. No, not true. When the boy says, I don't have to daven with a minyan, I don't have to keep kosher, I don't have to do anything. He's right. He doesn't have to. He doesn't need to, doesn't have to. What's going to be? You're going to suffer. You're going to get punished. Oh, so not I have to daven with a minyan. I have to protect myself from punishment. This is called Avodas Hashem. This is a relationship with the Eibishter.
Okay.
So it always happens. The Zayde says you have to. You say I don't have to. They says es brennen in Gehenna. Oh, here comes the threats. So what does that have to do with Eibishter?
Well, according to him, there is a Gehenna. I know
There
according
is.
to you, there's no Gehenna really, but
There really is.
I mean, there really is, but it's just you don't feel
But
it.
that's what you're.
You're right. So yeah, Gehenna can be tough. I don't know
And
what.
that's why you should behave yourself.
So you're saying that we are born and we are told the wrong concept of the relationship?
Completely. And it makes the Eibishter sound like a terrible dictator.
In if I may ask, in Chabad, is it different? This is just
Completely different.
So we all should become Chabad, maybe.
I'm not talking about the Menhogim, but in this Shitte, in
This
the
shitta with-
Hashkafa,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I don't know why. I keep on asking myself, why was I told so much about Gehenna, about burning like schnitzel and stuff like that? I
Right.
don't get it. No wonder people are scared and have anxiety.
And rebel.
Right,
Stop threatening me. I hate it.
right.
So what should a grandfather say?
Okay.
The grandfather should say, wake up, wake up. The Eibishter is waiting for you.
Wow.
He needs you, not he's going to punish you. You know Yom Tov Erlich, the songs of Yom Tov
Yeah,
Erlich?
a little bit.
So he has the songs for children. Shema B'ni. So he says in one of his songs, he says, wake up, children. The Malachim in Himmel can't sing their Shira until you sing first. The Eibishter wants to hear from you. That's a good message.
Right. Right. Well, it's pretty interesting because everybody does have a different relationship with Hashem.
Halavai. A
Because they don't have it
relationship?
all.
A relationship?
Wow. I'm just worried for the world. What do we do about this?
Put the Eibishter back in the center.
Right.
If all I do, every mitzvah, avoiding every aveda, is because I'm looking out for my own survival,
Right.
well, the Eibishter is unimportant.
Wow.
So I was once talking about this to a Fruma Olam. Said the Eibishter darf the mitzvah more than you need it. One Melamed came over to me afterwards and he says, yeah, ich herbe du sagst, but ich darf es nicht. I don't need this whole philosophy. I said, okay, ich push it.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Exactly.
Beautiful. He knows what he needs to do. Er fühlt sich wie mit darf. Beautiful, yeah? But then I thought, wait a minute. Ich darf dus nicht? What do you mean? I was talking about the Eibishter.
Right.
The darfst nicht dem Eibishter? Right. Ich darf ihn nicht. I know how to be from without a Eibishter.
Right.
That's a relationship?
Right.
That's Yiddishkeit?
Wow. So, and how do people actually find meaning in life when they actually take this route of what you just said?
So the good news is, in order to get to this hashkufa, the first thing is you have to be absolutely clear. It's not about me. Like, is it about you or is it about the Eibishter? I don't know about the Eibishter, but I'm absolutely sure that it's not about me.
Right. Okay.
Because I don't need this, I don't want this, I can't control this. This is not about me. My life is not for me. It's becoming very clear to the average person on the street. Not from frumkeit, not from just from life.
Wow.
It's becoming very clear that it's not for me. L'mushal, there are people who have $200 billion.
Yeah.
A guy who has $200 billion, can sich anreden, it's all for me?
I guess not.
It's impossible.
Right. It's way too much.
So, is it his money? Yeah, it's his. But is it for him? Obviously not.
Wow.
The same thing is true with everything we have. I have the ability to love. So I love myself? That's like the guy with the $200 billion who keeps his money under his mattress. So
Right.
what are you doing with that money? He says, it's my money. I said, no, it's your money. What are you doing with it? I'm keeping it. Stashayta. You have ahava, so you're keeping it for yourself? You're crazy. You have knowledge, information, yediyas, you're keeping it to yourself? You're crazy.
Wow.
It's like you're a very good speaker and you're a very good communicator. So you sit in your room and talk to yourself?
Wow.
They'll lock you up.
Right. I often say that expressing ourselves is super important, and it's just like it's like emotional constipation when somebody does not express their gift that they have.
If you keep it, you're going to choke on it.
Right.
Exactly.
Wow. That's super powerful. Well, back to that question of me, I feel like I do have I do sometimes have anxiety about, let's say, traveling or going to different places, basically the unknown. Where does that come from? And how can I get over it?
It's unknown to you.
Right.
Who says you have to know?
I don't know. I want to know what's going to happen. I want to
And
know.
if you know, what are you going to do about it?
I just feel safe. By the
No,
way,
you
I
won't feel
noticed that,
safe.
yeah, I noticed an interesting thing. You're right. But I'm saying, I noticed an interesting thing that the anxiety that we have is not about what's going to happen. It's about how we're going to feel when something happens. Most people fear their own feelings. And in a way to control it, they just don't go or don't do things. They don't quit the job. They don't want to get married because they don't know how I'm going to feel. Why are feelings so scary?
No, no. What exactly is the definition of anxiety? It's not the same as fear.
Right.
Fear means somebody is running after me to hurt me and I have to get away from him. In other words, I know what is scaring me.
Right.
Anxiety
Is believing the whole time that he's still there, even though he's not.
or nobody was ever there.
Right. Exactly.
I'm just afraid maybe there's...
Right.
Okay, this can make you totally crazy. Anxiety means fear, not of the unknown. Fear without knowing what you're afraid of.
Right. I have anxiety about having anxiety.
Right, that's exactly what anxiety is. It's like somebody said, anxiety is terrible. You know why? Makes you anxious. That's all it is.
Right.
So there's that famous expression, there is nothing to fear but fear itself.
Right.
That's anxious. If you're afraid of the enemy shooting you, that's realistic.
Right.
And if you're not afraid, you're crazy.
Yeah.
But when you have anxiety, it's because life just doesn't have a definition, a misgeddis. Like, what in the world is life? Anything, whatever. Oh, that is anxiety.
Right.
So anxiety means life doesn't make sense.
How do we make sense of it? I can't make sense of now going on a plane. I don't know what's going to happen on the plane. How I'm going to feel.
What's going to be?
I don't know. I'm going to die.
Maybe.
Should we talk about dying?
Maybe. Why? What? So what?
I don't know.
See, we're a little schizophrenic because
Yeah.
we hate the life we have, but dying?
Right. So maybe that shows us
Make
how
up
we
your
actually
mind.
love our life.
No, we're afraid of life and we're afraid of death for the same reason.
Because
don't
we're not
understand.
heading anywhere.
I don't understand either one of them.
Wow. Right.
Death is scary because it's unknown. Oh,
Right.
and life, yeah?
Right. So I actually heard this concept, which I love, that we fear dying because we're not living. And that, to me, that made very much sense. Like if you were to live a fulfilled life, then you know that at any time when you die, it's okay. Well, I lived a fulfilled life. But not living a fulfilled life and dying, oh, that's going to be super, super terrible,
Right.
I think.
So it's the same
Right?
thing. It's saying the same
Yeah.
thing. You're not living a fulfilled life, which means life doesn't make sense.
Right?
So death is worse?
Right.
No. If you don't understand life and you don't understand death, how do you wake up in the morning?
Right.
How do you function?
Right. Wow, very interesting. So I actually have a social media company where we create content for creators, companies like Klein's Naturals, Klein's Ice Cream, like chassidus brands, so that they get all that exposure to the world, and it's great for branding and online presence. I'm curious, Reb Manis, you have a lot of followers online. How do you deal with this? Or you don't deal at all? How do you deal with the people saying, this rabbi just doesn't make sense, or obviously there is a name, people call you the rabbi of the internet, which is very comforting. It's like, wow. So I'm curious if do you get a list at the end of the month with the comments? I know you don't do your social media yourself, but do you get a list of the highlights of what people said or who said something, or if
I get it. I don't read it
mhm.
because what's the difference?
So you're basically 100% giving and 0% taking from the social media presence.
I don't refuse a compliment.
Right.
I'm not. I
So
don't.
would you be happy when, I don't know, somebody, a big star or a celebrity or somebody that has 1 million followers says this rabbi says the best things I've ever heard?
If more people will listen,
Yeah.
yeah, of course.
Do you ever feel like I had a while where I was struggling with this, like Ayin Hara? You ever feel like it's an Ayin Hara? Or Ayin Hara is just a made up thing? My question's too challenging?
No, it's so. What are
Like,
you
how
gonna do?
does it feel? The Rebbe does, you have a lot of, you do have a lot of followers.
Mhm.
It's kind of validating, I think.
It's very validating.
Like, wow, people love what you say, the way you say it, the way you explain it.
Because it's right.
I'm just curious if, like, for me, it would stroke my ego very much if I had that amount.
And if it does, so I should stop.
So I'm asking, so I'm asking how you deal with it.
It's not important.
Right. What do you feel is your number one mission?
I have ego. I don't have ego. Who cares?
I
Really.
feel like I have a gigantic ego. That's what I'm asking. I'm
But what
trying
good does
to,
it do?
I don't know.
It doesn't do any good. So have it, don't have it. What's the difference?
Right.
The main thing is, and this is the whole Chabad Nekuda. Torah is emes.
And you speak.
And you want to prove it? Stop a Jew in the street and ask him to put on tefillin.
Wow. Right.
Not because you want another mitzvah.
Right. So you feel like that is your life's mission? To share that emes?
Yeah.
To enlighten people?
If people are listening in China and in Africa
Yeah.
and in New Guinea, which they are,
Oh yeah? Wow.
then this is really emes.
So it's already going international. Okay, maybe I should teach the same teachings.
Why not?
Do I have to become full-fledged Chabad, or I can just... I think my grandparents grew up here.
Crown Heights?
Yeah. They did. I know they did. I just don't know how long ago.
Which street?
I don't even know. My grandfather's name was Shaiwitz. Rebbe Yuri Shaiwitz. Wow. Yeah, because I do think it rings truth. And I also think that maybe it's a little bit controversy, but I feel like the chassidus and Terei, for many parts of it, is not connected to anything. It just became a new style after the war. Unlike
Became Kehillas.
right, Kehilas. Unlike Chabad or even, let's say, Breslov, which I'm not Breslov. I actually learned in Skver, which whatever like doesn't. But I feel like even Breslov is linked to society, to an idea, versus different Hasidus in today's days, which is just there is no concept, there is no neshama.
Hashkufa.
Right.
Yeah, there's just Minhugim and Kehillah.
Right, and that's why most people today call themselves like chassid-ish. I'm a chassid. But I think that chassidus runs very deep, because I think that the meaning of chassidus is that no matter what you do, as long as you have in mind that you're doing this for Hashem's sake, then it's still special and it has meaning. So I think that message is still super powerful.
Well, every chassidus, I think, at least has this truth installed in their bones. It's not about me being a godel, it's about godel Hashem.
Yeah.
That is a fantastic accomplishment from the Baal Shem Tov. But put it to work.
Right. Well, acceptance has gotten a lot better in our generation, I think. We don't consider, like, I remember Huri used to be like of the derech. I don't think that that's still a thing in any Hasidus.
Some places.
Most,
probably.
right. So that's a beautiful thing.
If the acceptance is because there are more important things to talk about, then it's great. If the acceptance is, what can you do? Today's kids, then you're just quitting.
Yeah.
That's not so good.
Right. I've rarely heard you speak about business advice, but I'm curious with a healthy philosophy and a Torah Semes, I believe many of the listeners are business people. So I'm curious if somebody were to open a business, if you would have like one piece of advice, something that they can do, or how to find.
So I think this little story with the Bacher in Yeshiva,
Yeah.
Ich darf gehen arbeiten. Ich darf machen, I have to show a profit. I have to make enough money. I have to get a bigger. Not you have to. Stop it. Stop making yourself crazy.
Right.
Why do we go to work at all? So the technical answer is, it's the curse that Adam was given
Right.
after the Eitz Hadas. You're not going to have your food grow on trees like in Gan Eden. Now you're going to have to go to work. The Eibishter's punishments or curses are really brachas.
Wow.
So what does it mean, b'zeyas apecha teicha lechem? If you want to fix the world, which is what we're here for, it's not going to be easy. Darf ein bisschen schwitzen.
Yeah.
But what is it? What are we actually doing? We're fixing the world. Every business, practically, maybe not those who sell drugs, but every business makes the world a little better.
Right.
You're selling a product. It's a good product. Makes life a little easier. So you're fulfilling the purpose for which you exist.
Yeah.
You go to work because the Eibishter needs you to go to work. And he needs you to go to the work that you're in because altzes b'hashgacha pratis.
Right.
So instead of thinking, what do I need this for? It's a curse. It's not a curse. That's what it means. B'chol drachecha da'ehu.
Right.
You think it's just your need, it's drachecha.
Right.
Don't forget about him. He is behind it. He made it for you. He gave it to you. He needs it from you. So to put it in simple language, how do you eat l'shem shamayim?
You have the right kavuna.
So according to what we're saying now with the boy in yeshiva, the question really is, how do you eat not l'shem shamayim? Why do you eat? Because the Eibishter created me this way. That's not l'shem shamayim.
Right.
The only reason it's not l'shem shamayim is because you think you need to eat.
Wow.
So stop lying, and you're eating l'shem shamayim.
Yeah, that's very true.
So you don't have to say l'kuvet Shabbos kodesh.
Yeah, my Zayda used to always say that. Wow. I also discovered recently which is probably the deepest feeling, which is grief. I had a friend, I don't know if you knew Michul Schnitzler, the wedding singer. Yeah, so I was like his manager, and he was like my closest friend. And I loved his...
You were his manager?
Yeah.
So you're in the music business?
I was. And my music industry died together with that. And that's part of the grief, kind of. I wanted to make so many new projects with him and work on English things and whatever. I wanted to do a lot of different things, but he just passed away suddenly. And it brought up in me grief, tremendous grief. And not just about losing him, but everything in my life that felt like should have been one way or another or lost. So, and I think that most people that feel depressed or anxious, or many of the people that you help, have some kind of grief. So what is the Torah perspective on grief, and how do we get over it? Or how do we feel it?
Wow. Grief is not the same as disappointment.
Okay.
You don't sit shiva if you're fired from your job.
Right.
Grief really means feel what the person who passed away is feeling.
Okay.
That's grief.
How do we do that?
That's avelus. Avelus means the neshama is suffering, suffer with it. Don't abandon the neshama.
Wow.
So really, it's part of the levaya. What does levaya mean?
The hide?
The body is going to its grave. Go with it. That's levaya. To be malava,
Right.
like malava
The
malka.
baglite, yeah.
So you go to the cemetery. The person is buried. That's it. The levaya is over. The gashmias part is over. Avelus means now go with him through what he is going through. So the first 3 days are the most painful for the neshama. So sit and feel that pain.
Yeah.
The second 4 days are not that painful. So lighten up a little bit. In other words, stay with the neshama that the neshama doesn't feel alone.
Right. Well, for me, the first 2 months I was in a denial stage, so I was still very much doing okay. But we now know that grief also is not just about loss of a person. It's also very much about loss of a dream that a person has.
You can
Makes
call it
sense?
you could call it grief, but it's not the real thing. That's
Don't-
more disappointment than
You don't find that many people like will grieve like the kind of life they could have had or should have had. I think many people that call you, don't they complain about what they thought they will have? I thought I will have a happy marriage and a nice family and kids.
that's disillusioned. That's not grief.
Right.
Look, there's a difference between what could have been and what should have been.
Right.
If you regret what should have been, that's a valid regret that makes you more of a mensch.
Right.
You regret what could have been. What does that do?
Right.
Besides make you miserable.
Yeah, I agree. A very important question that I want to ask is for all the singles out there, and many people, many listeners over here are young or are single. And what I notice with single is that when you're looking for a relationship, it's not about what you're looking for. It's about you're looking for yourself and who you become in order to attract that kind. What you are is basically what you're going to attract in terms of a relationship. My question is, what type of person do you think one has to become before they find their relationship? Or is it just completely they don't have to become anything?
You should not. Whatever you are, that's who's getting married.
Right.
Don't put on a fake personality and trick somebody into marrying you.
Right. Yeah, but I felt like for me, okay, I hear that, I respect that. I felt like for me, myself, I didn't feel rui to get married
Well,
before I did a couple of things
Okay.
different in my life.
All right, that's valid. You want to grow up before you get married. That's
Yeah.
okay. I mean, that's good.
Right. But you're saying don't change the personality and become somebody else. And what should
I
somebody
know
do if they
Shadchanim sometimes
Right.
say, be a little more funny,
Right.
be a little more serious.
Right. So what would be your best advice for a single right now? And they say, I want to get married. Well, is there a trick up your sleeve, like what they can actually do, pray, say, become?
In order to get married or in
Yeah.
order to be ready?
In order to get both.
Well, to get married, you have to call a shadchan.
Yeah.
And that's b'dei shamayim.
Right.
To be ready to get married, you have to be bored with yourself. Like enough about me already.
Yeah.
Can we talk about somebody else in my life?
Right.
That's the first thing. The second thing is when you're dating, or whatever you call it, it's a bad word,
Yeah.
you have to be completely selfish.
Right. Yeah, I read that in the book. To see what will work for you.
Don't try to make a good impression.
Right.
What do you have? You have to make a good impression.
But
Every
how about
girl,
listen? I know for me when I date, I'm like 90-10. I don't speak anything. I just listen.
because you're too concerned with
What I'm gonna say.
no, what impression you're going to make.
Yeah.
Is she going to like me? What do you care if she likes you? She's a stranger.
Okay.
She's
Well,
nobody to you.
at least the pressure is off. Not. Wow. Yeah.
You got to be completely selfish. What will she like about me? That's her problem, not mine.
Right. I can't
I got to
control it.
figure out what I like about her.
Right.
So people say, no, but if you do that, she's not going to like you.
Right.
That's not my problem.
Right.
That's her problem.
Right.
Then when you get married, then you become completely selfless. But
Right.
selfless when you're dating? What is that like? That's a suicide.
Right. So, and if somebody wants to improve their relationship right now, what's a quick mindset that can help them?
A marriage relationship?
Yeah.
Derech Eretz.
Yeah.
I love him, I don't love him. Take him seriously.
And why is there such a blockage? From what I'm seeing is people in marriages, they just love getting at each other. Like they know that they're in a pretty good marriage, but they're still bickering. They're still, they know each other's weak spots and they push on it.
Well, a really good marriage is where the man is living and acting like a man,
Right.
and the woman is living and acting like a wife.
In terms of the giving and receiving?
The giving and receiving, the mashpia mekabel.
Wow.
Because you can't fool Mother Nature.
Right.
So if the woman feels like she has to become masculine, it's all over. And if he feels like he has to be more feminine, taitnisht.
Right. Beautiful. I
But
feel
then,
like, yeah.
what is masculine and what is feminine?
Oh, okay.
For that we need another hour. The masculine feeling is, she can rely on me.
Right.
The feminine feeling is, I can rely on him.
Wow. That's all?
That's it.
That's beautiful.
A woman wants to rely on her husband.
And a man wants to feel relied on. Needed and needy.
He needs to feel confident that he can make her life better. Not that she can make his life better.
Yeah, well, how do I know if I can make my wife's life better?
If you take responsibility, you make her life better.
Or if I listen to her problems.
Let's don't have to get psychological and become her psychiatrist. Listen, to make it very, very simple, it really is. The woman is the mother, the akeres habayis. She has to be, in order to be a mother, you have to be completely available to the children.
Yeah.
To nurture, you have to be completely present. If you're distracted, the nurturing stops. If you're feeding your child but you're in a hurry to leave, you're poisoning the kid. You're not nurturing the kid. Here's the deal. Men and women get together and they say, let's work out a partnership. Take all my worries off my head and I will devote myself to your children.
Wow. Yeah.
That is the simplest definition of marriage.
I love that. I can do that.
So it's a fair exchange.
Yeah.
I'll take all your daigus off your mind. You take care of my kids.
Wow.
So what does it mean she can rely on you?
I take all the daggers.
She can rely on you so she can be a mother. You're making her free to be a woman, a mother.
Wow.
But if she has to worry why the bills weren't paid, the kids are going to suffer.
Right. Beautiful. I feel like we covered a beautiful range of topics that I'm allowed to feel like I'm a loser. I feel needed. I'm important. And I know that I have a mission. I shouldn't feel anxious or scared because everything, I don't have to know everything that will happen. It's beautiful. Anything else you want to add?
Every day in the world, in history, every day, Torah becomes more important to every human being. Because we're now discovering without Torah, we're not normal. Torah is sanity. Without Torah, we're not sane. We're not sane. Without Torah, we don't know what a woman is.
Right.
Without Torah, we don't know whether massacring babies and chopping their heads off is really wrong. You see how crazy the world is? We would never have believed. Without Torah, people would be so crazy.
Wow. So we have to reconnect.
So they used to ask, can't you be good, moral, without Torah? It's a big debate. Now the question is, can you be sane without Torah? Can you be good without Torah? We know. The answer is no way. But now the question is, can you at least be sane without Torah? And the answer is no.
Because we see what's happening.
Ki heim chayenu va'erech yameinu. Now the question is, if you learn Torah, you are sane? Because sometimes learning Torah makes you worse. Loi zocha, nasa loi samamavis.
Wow.
If you misinterpret the Torah, you're destroying the world. And saying the Eibishter doesn't need mitzvahs, the Eibishter doesn't need Torah, the Eibishter doesn't need Yidden, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're making a churban.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for making the world a better place, a more comfortable place. Like I said, validating people, so many people that need it. Because I think that a lot of people are hurting. A lot of people are definitely searching. People are changing. They keep on evolving and growing, and they're looking for information. That's I think how I bumped into your videos. Like I was searching something about, I think it was the first about dying or Gehenna or stuff like that, and they're like, Rabbi explains why you won't go to hell. Okay, all right. And it was really comforting.
So let me ask
that
you a question. Talking about Gehenna, yeah? Yisurim erase your Avedis, right?
Yeah.
Who doesn't have Yisurim? Yom Kippur erases Avedis.
Yeah.
Tshuva erases Avedis. Every person before he dies probably does Tshuva.
Okay.
Ask any guy.
Yeah.
If you could live again, would you do the same thing? You said, no.
Right.
That's Tshuva.
Right.
So by the time you die, you did Tshuva, you had Yisurim, and you had Yom Kippur. Then dying erases, right?
Yeah.
Misa mekaperes.
So what are you left with?
Who goes to Gehenna?
Those who make it a living hell.
Wait, I'm not even finished yet. Avram Avinu sits by the door of Gehenna And anyone who had a bris lost an ishtaran.
But they didn't tell me this, Nachayder.
Welcome to the real world.
Wow.
So really, who's in Gehenna?
I don't know.
If you do an Aveda B'Shegig, you don't go to Gehenna. So do you know anybody who didn't have a Yom Kippur, didn't have Yisurim, didn't die?
Right. You're basically saying that even according to the system that might have installed the fear, in that system of the fear of Gehenna, there's also like a very much kapura already till you get to the system's Gehenna. I never thought about that.
I'm trying to imagine who's in Gehenna. Who? I can think about 6 people.
Right. Okay, that just took off a huge burden. Wow. I feel lighter.
So the people always like, Gehenna. Tell the whole story. Don't make a panic.
Right. But we also understand why these Malamdam tell these stories, because they have their pain. We live in a generation that's coming right off the Holocaust. I understand why people are afraid. And now with the whole October 7th, this was a direct opening of the wound of what happened in, I don't want to get political because I never discuss politics, but all the people that lived in fear or felt very fearful, is it literally because of that? We grew up with these stories of we're hated and stuff like that, and then boom, here it happens. People had tremendous fear those few weeks. Now we're on to the next story. But fear is real for some.
Fear is real, especially if you don't know what it's all for. And
Exactly.
Who needs this?
Right.
It's time to put the Eberster back in charge.
Yeah, I love that. That's going to be the name of the episode. Time to put Hashem, God, back in charge. Does Hashem mean God is Midas Hadin and Hashem is Midas Rachmam, or it doesn't really matter?
He's both. He's bigger than both.
Doesn't matter.
He is the one who needs you.
Right.
The rest is details.
Right. Wow. I feel refreshed and recharged and excited. Thank you, Reb Manis. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on. And if anybody wants to see more videos, obviously just search Rabbi Manis Freidman on YouTube. There's the books available. This is my personal book. I'm going to ask for if Reb Manis can write in something. This is Doesn't Anyone Blush Anymore, which is my personal favorite. I read it a very long time ago. It's such an easy read, and I love that no chapter is longer than 7 pages. It sounds like as if you intentionally done that. Like whenever I'm like, okay, let me see, can I finish the chapter? Yeah, it's 1 more page. Such an easy read, and I just love Rabbi Manis's message in the world, which I connected to, which is just bringing out that how easy and accepting and loving Yiddishkeit is and should be, and how we really should feel on a day-to-day life, not living with anxiety and fear or pressure, but living in a place of joy and happiness and feeling needed. I mean, that is the ultimate good feeling. So, thank you all.